Welcome back to my channel where we talk all things money, marketing, and metaphysics. My name is Kristen Noel, and I'm so excited to share with you attraction marketing secrets that I have been using now for about 2 years in my business. And just doing these simple things has really changed the game for me. Now, I know what it's like when someone is sliding into my DMs, like on Facebook.
Mary, Mother of God.
It's kind of like the modern day door-to-door sales, right? Like it's very invasive, it's a little bit aggressive, and it may work for some people, but for me, I do not prefer to do that. I hate like going into someone's inbox because I know that there's an ulterior motive, right? I know that they're trying to do something or sell me. And it's really a turnoff because when you think about it, when it comes to, being loyal to a brand or buying something from a brand, it's so much easier when you have that relationship. First of all, number one, if you have a relationship with that person or that business, and number two, if you actually want that product, right? So if someone's just like sliding into your DMs, it's a bit invasive, right? And there's nothing wrong with sales, right? I just want to be clear on that. And if you have, this idea that sales is bad, then that's definitely a money mindset thing. And it's not necessarily, door-to-door sales. So definitely check out one of my other videos when it comes to money mindset, right? But this video is all about how can we utilize attraction marketing in order for us to get what we want, which is to build our businesses and to attract the right types of people to us, right? Because at the end of the day, we cannot survive if we don't have clients, but at the same time, we don't want to go about business sliding into those DMs. It's not fun and it doesn't make you look good, essentially. Raise your hand or let me know in the comments below if you have been someone that is on the receiving end of someone sliding into your DMs telling you like, hey, can you buy my hair shampoo? Or hey, can you do this for me? Or hey, like check out this like protein powder, right? Like, yeah, that's not my vibe. So I'm excited to present to you different ways or different marketing secrets that makes you more attractive, and it's much more in the lines of attraction marketing. All right, so the very first marketing secret or the first marketing tip is really understanding your money mission and your hidden talents. Now, I teach this to my clients all the time, but when it comes to attraction marketing secrets, the very first thing that you must know is your money mission, right? And your money mission is actually broken down into 4 or 5 different steps. Now I teach 5. I know that you see 4 right here, but the 5th one is something that I extensively talk about in my program, Attract with Ease Accelerator. But as you can see, there are 4 steps here, right? So the very first one is really awareness, right? Awareness of who you are, what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, and how these strengths and weaknesses really help you achieve your purpose and to make money, right? Like you would not want to be in a role that doesn't suit you or doesn't fit you just because you want to be in the role, right? You want to make sure that you're happy, that you're doing the job effectively. And so that way it's so important for you to be aware, right? Secondly is to really accept what your natural gifts are, right? Accept your current circumstances. So many of us are always complaining about what is happening to us when it's so much easier for us to just accept what's going on and rather change the things that we can control, which is our attitude, the way we think, etc., right? The third point is really about awakening hidden talents. Now, in the next slide, I'm going to show you how you can actually figure out your hidden talents. But essentially, we all have hidden talents that we need to work on, that we can really master. I think in life, the best thing that we can do is really master our hidden talents, because then we can actually become more skillful, we can become more valuable. So whether that's for your employer or for your market, if you're a business, you can really serve your clients in the best way possible, right? And if you're working for someone, you can really serve your boss or your manager in the best way possible so that you can get that raise. And then finally, it's all about alignment, right? Because when you're in alignment, when you are operating from really the best self or the best version of yourself, then what ends up happening is that you can actually attract much more, right? And hence the attraction marketing. Now I'm going to share with you different attraction marketing secrets, but the very first one I do have to emphasize on is this money mission and hidden talents one, because it is so important. Just like you would not drive a car if it's unaligned, right? That's also why if your tires are unaligned, the chances of you getting into a car accident are much higher. You want to make sure that you are in alignment first before you decide to take any type of action, okay? So here's an example of what I'm talking about. So money mission in my eyes, and what I teach my clients, is really understanding the cards that were dealt to you when you were born, right? So each one of us are so different. We all have different strengths. We all have different weaknesses, that it's really our job to understand what they are so that we can really present ourselves in the best way possible, right? So what I teach my clients in my programs is knowing how to read a human design chart as well as a Fadhd chart. So the difference here, they're very similar, but the reason why I read both of these charts is because they have different intentions, right? There's different goals behind it. Now, the human design chart right here on the left-hand side is much more of understanding the way your energy works, right? So the human design is really a modern way to understand astrology and the chakras and all that stuff. But just to keep it simple for this training purposes, let's think of human design as understanding the way we are specifically designed energetically to take things in, right? And so as you can see here on the left, this is my human design chart. You'll see, because I teach this and I obviously practice this myself, is that I can see that, you know, I don't have all of these energy centers defined, right? And again, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, then I highly encourage you to take my Attract with Ease Accelerator course. It's much more in depth, and I go way into kind of understanding what do these centers mean, what do these colored things mean, all of that stuff. But just again, for the purpose of this money mission topic, I can see here that because I don't have a lot of energy, a lot of my spaces are white, I have to manage my energy much more, right? And because of that, I have to leverage my team, or I have to leverage other people to help me complete a lot of my work. And so if you know these things, then you can make money a lot easier. You can understand your purpose a lot easier, right? And what's really cool is that in the human design, you can actually see here on the right, your purpose, your mission, what you were designed to do, and kind of like your journey here in life. Right over here where my pointer is, this is the North Node and the South Node, right? And if you're completely new to astrology, the North Node is really your life purpose and the challenges that you need to overcome in order for you to really be your best self. And then the South Node is kind of your innate strengths, right? Like what comes really easy for you. And the best analogy or the best reference I can share with you is think of an actress, right? So an actress that is always playing the same type of role is living in its South Node. What that means is that if they're very comfortable in this role, they're always being casted for this specific role. People are seeing this person as a specific role, right? But in order for them to grow and to develop into a better actress or a better actor, they need to be casted into even a different role, right? They have to be portrayed in a different way. And so the North Road is really about your life purpose and the challenges that you need to go through in order for you to live out your fullest potential, right? So as you can see here, and again, I dive deep into this in my accelerator program, but right here, you can see that I'm a 19 and a 33 for my North Node and my South Node. And so we talk about the I Ching and how the I Ching actually corresponds to the North Node and the South Node. And so as you can see, and again, I'm giving you very general perspective on this because again, this is like a full-on blown course within itself. But if you want to understand your money mission, then look into your charts, right? Look into your spiritual blueprint that makes up who you are. If you go over to the right-hand side over here, which is your Fadhd chart, we can then see that, for instance, how we read this is that I like to look at these two pillars the most when it comes to our mission, right? Our money mission and our life purpose. But this column over here is all about business. It's all about career, right? So as you can see, I have indirect wealth in my career pillar. Okay, so the second pillar is all about your career and your business if you have a business, but it indicates that I'm best suited in positions where it's much more passive income or indirect wealth, which represents wealth that is not trading time for money, right? It's much more fluid. It's not coming in directly, right? And so because I know this, a lot of my programs are structured so that I'm making a lot of passive income. And I'll talk about passive income in another slide, right? But you can see that by looking at these charts, again, we're not pigeonholing you into anything, okay? We're really just understanding how you're specifically designed so that things just come easier for you and you're much more in flow, okay? As you can see here too, these 3 hidden talents. So I taught you that this pillar is your business pillar, right? Or your career pillar. You can also see down here, this is really where your hidden talents lie. So as you can see, there's EG, DO, and DR. So EG represents eating God, which is also representative of like design and creativity and innovation. DO is direct officer, and then DR is direct resource. Direct resource is all about knowing how to be resourceful, right? Understanding resources and how to manage them. And then direct officer is all about, systems and management. So because I know these things, I implement these things into my business. And so if you want to understand attraction marketing, or if you want to utilize attraction marketing, then the first thing that you really want to do, okay, is to understand your money mission. And you can understand your money mission by using these 2 charts over here. This one is called a Boston chart. I will link some resources at the end of this video. And then this is a human design chart. And again, like I said, I highly recommend you to go into my Attract with Ease Accelerator program, because I will actually break down every single pillar, every single thing, so that you are very well aware of how to read your own chart and understand your personal money mission. Okay, now the second tip when it comes to attraction marketing is creating a very clear vision, okay? Now that comes into 4 steps, right? So step number 1 is all about dreaming big. A lot of people that I meet that want to start their own business, or small business owners, they are already dreaming big, right? Like they have a big dream. They have this dream of creating a business, and that's also why they are starting a business, right? And I think that over time we get bombarded by the noise of what other people think about us or our family members that stop us from dreaming big. So first and foremost is to allow yourself to dream big. Okay. The second thing is to really focus on success. So again, when you are just starting out to becoming an entrepreneur or owning your own business, there's a lot of distraction. There's a lot of shiny objects, and it's so easy for one to deter yourself from the path that you're supposed to be on, right? So I really suggest for you to really focus on all the positive things, expect miracles, expect good things, because then when you are focusing on all the wrong things, what ends up happening is that you're going to really forget why you're doing it in the first place. So focus on success and remember to surround yourself with the right people, right? Thirdly is to really use clear language. So when you're talking about your vision, and I'll give you an example in just a second, but when you're talking about your vision, you want to be very crystal clear on what that is, right? So when I coach my clients, I make sure that I'm coaching them in a way that when they're being vague, like I'm being that coach where I push them to speak in a way that's clear, right? Because if you're not clear on what you want, it's not going to come to you. Let's just face that, right? Let's just say you go to a restaurant. If you're not clear on what you want to order, most likely the dish that you want is not going to come, right? Because you don't even know what you want.
Let me get 2 hamburgers with just pickles, 2 cheeseburgers with another cheeseburger, everything on them.
So use very clear language. And finally, establish time frames. Time frames in the sense that, your goals can only happen when there is a time period, right? Like I can say that I want to become a millionaire, but like, let's be realistic here. Number 1, in terms of that's so much possible for me, but what's the time frame? Like, let's talk about that, right? So when there's a time frame and I can break it down into smaller pieces, then it motivates me more and it becomes a clearer vision, right? And so here's an example of what I personally do, but the step 1 that I do, that I also teach my clients, is really purchasing the book called Vivid Vision by Cameron Herold. Now, you can find this book on Google, but I can actually just give you a synopsis of what it is, right? So Vivid Vision is all about writing in a way or understanding your business in a way so that you can share your vision with the rest of your team, with the rest of the people that follow you, your clients, Because when you have a clear vision, then people can actually support you. Some people think that business is all about just solving problems, but that's just only one part of it, right? When you have a vision, people can actually agree with you or not agree with you, and you want to make sure that that's clear from the very beginning. So I highly recommend to read this book or purchase it, because then the step 2 is all about, right, creating a vision board. I'm sure you've seen this before, but what's interesting is that I actually go like a step further, and that is step 3, and that is actually talking about my vision. So I have a vision board just like a lot of you guys. You probably already have a vision board, and I look at this every day, right before I meditate or when I wake up. But the third thing that I actually do is that I voice record my vision. So this is something that I teach my clients, and that is to actually pull out your phone or your voice recorder on your iPhone. If you don't have an iPhone, then I'm sure an Android has the same type of application that's free, and you talk about your vision as if it has already happened, right? Can you see this? Like, this is literally what I listen to every single morning. I have 2 dogs, and every single morning when I wake up and walk them, this is what I'm listening to. And I find this to be so much more powerful than, let's say, listening to someone else, because at the end of the day, that is still someone else's life, right? And this is your life. You're talking about your life as it has already happened, right? So that's super powerful. So your subconscious mind is really able to download the things that you're talking about when you're already talking about it, right? Most of the time, we live in a space where we talk about things that has already happened. We're not used to talking about things that have not happened. So when we're able to do that and train ourselves to do that every single day, right, then things start to happen for us, right? And I actually do this every single quarter, if not every single month. It really just depends. This one is from Q1, right? I really talked about my vivid vision in detail of what I wanted to manifest at the end of Q1. And guess what? It happened. And that's because I listen to it every single day, and I know exactly what I'm supposed to be doing every day, and I keep myself very motivated by this. Okay, so the third thing when it comes to attraction marketing is doing it for the long game or for the long term, right? So number 1, when it comes to long game, right, most people go into digital marketing, or most people go into building an online business for the short term, right? They think like, oh, it's easy money. Oh my gosh, like, you know, they buy into the hype that people are selling online right now. It's so easy to do that. Trust me when I say that, you know, shiny object syndrome is real. And also the fact that a lot of marketers are pushing for the fact that, okay, you can have overnight success, when that's absolutely not true, especially if you want to make it in online marketing. You need to play it for the long game. And here's what I mean. Number 1 is transparency, right? Think about a relationship with someone, okay? If you are committed to someone, then that person is building a stronger relationship with you, right? So for instance, when I met my partner, right, was at the age where I wanted to settle down. Like, I wasn't trying to like date around or anything like that. So if I'm trying to play it for the long game, if I want to be in a relationship long term, I'm going to be doing several things that indicate that I'm in there for the long term, right? So transparency, being super honest about where I'm at. So that's the same with your clients, right? Especially if you want to build a long-term relationship with your clients, and that is beneficial because you want them to trust you, right? So be transparent, be honest, be upfront. If you look at my content, I'm always being honest and upfront about what's happening. I talk about my mistakes a lot. I talk about my successes. I'm not hiding anything. My clients and my audience really knows exactly what's happening in my world, right? Because I'm not afraid to talk about it. And because of that, a lot of people, you know, like me, or they like my brand because of the authenticity, right? I'm really just straightforward. Secondly is building that relationship. And like I mentioned before, you do not want to build a relationship without a good foundation. And having a good foundation is doing it for the long term, or thinking long term in terms of your business. Third thing is about boundaries. Okay, so I love this topic because I think that when you're first starting out in business, you tend to see yourself as someone that can't set boundaries, right? Because you're thinking, oh, I'm new. That must mean that I can't set boundaries. And that's absolutely not true. Here's the thing. I respect people that have boundaries, right? I respect them a lot. And if someone sets boundaries or expectations early on, then I respect them even more, because then it's very clear as to what they want from me, right? And so it's so important for you to set boundaries with your clients and your audience from the beginning. My private clients, I tell them that I check my messages with them only 3 times a day, right? Like I'm not constantly like 24/7, like responding to them. And some people might think, oh, that's poor customer service. And for me, it's like I have a life and I want to set these boundaries. The right people will understand that and they would respect that, right? The other people that want me to respond faster, they're not my people. I don't want to serve them, right? So being very clear on what your boundaries are early on so that you don't attract the wrong type of people, okay? And then finally, obviously, is to think long term. So everything, including your content, the way you structure your business is long term, right? So I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. So for instance, right? So let's start off with different ways that you can build long-term relationship with your clients, right? So number one, for instance, you probably came into this training because of this book, right? It was this book funnel, okay? So people don't know this, right? And I'm going to be very upfront and honest with you, but I'm actually not making any money from the book, right? Anyone that's offering you like a free plus shipping funnel or free plus shipping book, they're really not profiting from the book itself. So let's just say hypothetically you didn't buy this and you just bought the book, right? I'm not making any money from you, number one, and I'm actually losing money, right? And the reason why is because, I'm charging $9.99 for the book, and I'm saying that you pay for shipping and handling, but just so you know, right, what's going on, the book itself plus the shipping and the handling, all of that adds up to be $9.99, okay? And then you have to account for ads, right? Like I'm also spending money on ads. So really, I'm not making any money on the front end, right? So it goes to show that you're probably thinking, well, why would you do that? Why would you be losing money? Well, there's a quote, I forgot who I heard this from, but it's not from me, that the person that spends the most money to acquire a customer actually wins. And that's so true because I'm really hoping that people would love my book. And because they love my book, they will come back as a customer and they probably purchase something like this, right? Or they go into one of my programs, and I'm just being 100% honest with you, right? If they like me and they like my vibe and they like my book, then they'll buy my other things, right? So it's long-term. You see what I'm saying? I'm not just trying to get your money in the beginning. Another way that I practice long-term relationships with my clients and my audience is giving away free things sometimes. For example, I gave away like a free meditation for Mother's Day, right? And I expected nothing in return. I didn't sell anyone during this time. I sent this out to my email list, and it was really just because I wanted to give it to them. It was Mother's Day. I have huge respect for moms, and that's my way of showing that I care. So again, like my clients and my audience can feel that I care because I do things like this. And then the last example I can give you is something called speed manifestation that I do on Thursdays, right? So again, right now it's every Thursday, but we don't know, in the future how that goes. But why I do this is because of the fact that I want to build a relationship with people that come into my world. So every single Thursday, this is a free session that people can jump on with me, and I'm basically speed manifesting with them. And if you haven't attended one of these, then I really highly recommend you to come on, because you can get a transformation in 30 minutes, literally, right? Without paying for anything, okay? So I do this, okay, again, I'm not making any money, is because I'm trying to first, number one, understand the new people that come into my world. I'm trying to understand who they are, kind of like research for me as well, but it's also so that I can build that personal relationship with them, right? So how often can you actually hop on, a conversation with like Tony Robbins? Like you can't, right? So I really wanted to be a little bit different and build that personal relationship with my tribe. And so that's why I do speed manifesting. So these are some ways that you can also do to really build that relationship with your audience as well, or with your clients. Okay, so the fourth thing when it comes to attraction marketing is attractive branding. Now, I talk about branding a little bit differently than a lot of people, and that's because I think a lot of people think branding is just about fonts and colors, right? Or just design. And in my opinion, as someone that loves design, I actually think that branding is so much deeper and so much more transformational. And let me explain why. So number one, I feel like branding is all about emotions. Okay, it's really just emotions, right? Because that's also why people say like fonts and colors matter, because in a sense they do, right? Because those fonts and those colors evoke some type of emotion, right? But number one, branding at the core is emotion. So as long as you can tap into the emotional aspect of your clients, then you're doing some type of branding. And again, I'll give you some examples in a bit, but how I teach branding is actually through themes. So if you notice with my brand, I don't have a consistent type of font or a color, right? I don't. And some people, some branding experts might say, oh my God, she's doing branding wrong. Whatever, I don't really care because this is the way I do branding. For me, my personality is someone that I love all type of fonts and all type of colors, okay? And instead of trying to box myself and say like, this is my brand color and my font, I want it to be where I can design my branding in a way that it's project-based. So for instance, and you'll see it in a bit, when I did my book launch, there was a theme. There was consistent branding amongst that particular project, okay? For my Attract with Ease Accelerator, there's a specific theme to it, right? So that way I can do both. I can be consistent on the type of branding for a specific project, but I don't need to do it for my entire business and my entire brand. And I like the way I do that because there's still some type of consistency, but secondly, it also falls under my values and my brand values. And my brand values is all about evolution. I believe that my clients come to me when they want to evolve, right? So they're constantly changing. And constantly changing doesn't mean that you're going to be stuck with the same colors and fonts and stuff like that. So you'll see exactly what I'm talking about in just a bit, but just hang on with me for a second, right? Then it's also about creativity and consistency. So creativity is all about like being creative in how you portray yourself. So when you think about a brand is really just you being known for something, right? At the end of the day, it's not fonts or colors, it's how people see you and how people portray you, right? So you can be creative in how you stand out amongst your niche mates. And finally, I talk about consistency because I am the queen of being inconsistent, but I'm consistently inconsistent.
Yes, queen.
And what I mean by that is that some people can come and look at me and be like, well, your brand colors are really messy or like they're different every time. Well, I'm being consistent doing that. So you see how everything is still consistent, right? At the end of the day, even though someone is saying that they're not consistent or they're complaining, they're still consistent in some way. So that's why I say consistency, because you get to choose how you want to be consistent, right? I know another entrepreneur friend of mine that her brand colors are all yellow. Like she's just all yellow and that's her. And so people recognize her as yellow, right? And so if that's more of you, I don't think that I can just stick to one color and run with it. That's just who I am. Then choose the latter, right? Choose the former, whatever the case may be. But just remember to go inward first and understand who you are first before making any type of decision, right? So consistency on your values, on who you are, etc. So let me give you an example. So I talked about this literally just a second ago, but for my book launch, right, you see that there's a very specific theme. So even though my entire business, the fonts are different. So for instance, as you see these slides, they're different fonts, right? But there's consistency in that specific project. So for my book launch, the theme was bridesmaids, right? Because I wanted people to feel that they were part of a squad when it came to launching my book. So again, remember feelings, emotions, right? So before my book was officially launched out there, I needed a launch squad in order for me to build up hype around the book, right? So what I did was that I created a launch team. Now, I wanted people inside the launch squad to feel as if we were like sisters. I wanted them to feel as if like, okay, we're not all perfect, we're all very different, right? Every single one of these ladies are super different, but we're all in this together for one specific reason, right? In this case, they were all in this because they were trying to help their friend get married, right? So that's why it's okay to have different types of fonts or colors as long as you have a central theme. And so as you can see here in my Facebook group, like I had all my gifts were around bridesmaids, right? They're all centered around bridesmaids. There's consistency around that, particular project. And then as you can see over here on the right, this is my Attract with Ease Accelerator, some of the slides. And then what I do in my accelerator program, which is really fun, is I ask my clients in there, or my customers in there, my students in there, to think of it as a video game, right? Because I believe that life is really like a game, right? Our emotions are just way too in it, and that's why we're losing this game. If you're feeling stuck or you're feeling anxious, it's just because your emotions are in the way of you succeeding. And so, I talk about, it being a video game. And then as you can see here in my program, I actually give like little boosts. So if you're ever playing a game, like let's say Super Mario, for instance, whenever you come across a mushroom, you grow bigger, right? You have a superpower. So I did the same thing, right? Like I had like this something called a moon juice, right? And it looks like Gatorade. So I'm making it fun, and the emotions are that it's fun and it's lighthearted and that's not like boring, right? Branding is not about being boring. It's about putting your spin onto things. So these are some examples of how you can really brand up your specific business or brand, essentially. Okay, number 5. Number 5 is all about having a clear call to action. Okay, so first of all, I just want to say that having a call to action, or CTA, right, is not always about selling. Now, first of all, I just want to highlight that selling is not bad, okay? People have this perception that selling is bad. But I do want to say that call to actions is not always about selling, right? You can have call to actions to have people to invite more friends to watch your videos or to like your YouTube video. A call to action could be to sign up for a webinar. Call to actions could be, yes, to buy your program, right? There's so many different ways to have people take action, but you do need to have a clear call to action. And on top of that, you have to be direct. Now, this is the one thing that I feel like a lot of people get mixed up on, especially my private clients, because I know this because they tell me this is their biggest fear, right? They don't want to seem mean, or they don't want to seem like they're pushing people. Here's the thing. You are doing your audience a disservice when you are not clear on what you want them to do. Point blank, you really are, right? Because the thing is that the people that love you will appreciate your directness. And the people that don't like you, they will unfollow you anyway, right? So you want to be very, again, in the very beginning, be very clear on what it is that you want your people to do, right? Because you care about them. And you have to change the way you look at this, right? Because the mindset is that, oh, you know what, like I don't want to be too pushy, or I don't want to be too mean. But those are just misconceptions about call to actions. Call to actions is you helping them, guiding them on what they need to do next. And you just have to own that, right? A lot of people have like confusing call to actions, right? And it's leaving people confused. They're like confused about what they need to do next, right? So make sure it's very clear, it's direct. And finally, my last suggestion is to actually mix things up, right? So mixing up means like different types of call to actions, right? So for instance, when, let's say I'm writing a blog post, right? At the end of it, let's say I want someone to buy my book, right? On Amazon. So I'm literally telling people, hey, if you enjoyed this blog post, then make sure you buy my book on Amazon to learn more about, I don't know, money mindset, and here's the link, right? It's very clear. And then another call to action could be, hey, if you like this post or if you like this content, then share it with your friends, right? Make sure you share it. And you can sometimes even tell people, hey, this is how you do it, right? Because sometimes people, again, you have to understand that people have lives. And from my experience, people love it when you're direct and very clear on what it is that you want them to do. So here are some examples of what I'm talking about. So again, during my book launch, I had Carl. So Carl is actually my alter ego. So this is actually me. There's a filter on Snapchat, but this is Carl, my alter ego. And my people know Carl. I sometimes go on stories and I'm Carl, but I'm having Carl say, hey, like text me, right? Like literally very clear call to action, which is text book club to 21000 so that Carl can coach you, right? That's a call to action. Another call to action is inside my book, where I have people download the audiobook, right, as a gift for actually purchasing my book. So again, like if I'm not clear, I literally said, this is a post that I did, and I said that, hey, just so you guys know, there's an audiobook that's free for you. And again, some people were like, they had no idea. So when you are repetitive, it's okay you have to understand that people have lives and you are not the center of their world. The last example that I have is in my email list, right? So every week I do a new YouTube video. And what I realize is that if I don't tell people to like the video or give me a thumbs up, then they're not going to do it, right? Because they don't know how important it is to do it. But it is important, right? Because when you give a thumbs up on YouTube, right, you are helping me get my message across to more people. So don't be shy and don't be scared to tell people what to do, okay? Because you're actually saving them a lot of time because they don't have to figure it out themselves, right? Well, there you have it. Those are the different ways that you can go about attraction marketing. Now, if you liked this video, then make sure you give it a thumbs up so that more people can watch it. Make sure you subscribe to my channel and hit the bell notification so that way you can get notified whenever I have a new video. And then obviously, if you want to learn more about money, marketing, and metaphysics, then make sure that you check out these two videos over here to make sure that you are up to date with all things money, marketing, and metaphysics. Now, I hope you have a great day, and I will see you next time. Bye.